Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. This athlete needs no introduction, but definitely deserves one. She has the most IFBB Pro wins of any IFBB professional in history, with 50 victories, and 3 of those being the Olympia, which also makes her the record holder for the most Bikini Olympia wins. And she just placed second at the 2024 Olympia. Not to mention, she won her first Bikini Olympia title at her very first Olympia ever, making her the first rookie to ever win the title. You are hearing a lot of firsts and evers because she really has made history. This athlete is also a coach with Team Elite Physique. She's the co-host of Bikini and the Brain podcast, so now y'all know I don't need to introduce her at all. She's a world traveler, contributing to shows and seminars globally, all while competing. Welcome back to the show, Ashley Kaltwasser. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm fantastic. On cloud nine still. Yeah, it's been a great year. And I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, to say the least, it's been a great year for you, and I'm wonderful too. It's been a fabulous year for me, and we last got to see each other and connect in Utah. So it feels like this year has flown by. I couldn't even tell you the date. Maybe that was when was that? May? I don't even remember
Yeah,
now.
it was after the Pittsburgh Pro. So it
Oh,
was,
that's right.
mid-May, I think. Yeah.
That was so fun. And I always have loved and appreciated and adored you and the collaborations we've done. Seriously. But that weekend, it gave me even more perspective on you, how humble you are, how kind you are, how thoughtful you are. And I just was really excited when you won your 50th win because I was like, we can really highlight your journey as an athlete, as a person. And the last time I had you on was a long time ago, really, when you think about it. So let's talk about you before you hit the stage again.
Okay.
What is your ritual? Maybe something you do or think about right before your heel hits the stage.
All right. Right before that, he'll hit the stage. So I think of like, wow, how cool is it that I'm here doing this? And many other people will never be able to experience this feeling. So
Mm.
first I like to savor the moment, just appreciate the fact that I'm even there. But I'm also nervous at the same time, I really am. So I'm not afraid to admit that. To me, it means you care. So I'm nervous because I care. If you didn't care, you'd be like, whatever, let's get this over with, blah. So I'm a little nervous too. So I just try to focus on turning that nervous energy into positive energy. And also I go over like my little list of bad habits that I have. So before I go on stage, like I'll look at my little list of like, oh, I need to twist more in the back or this or this. So I'll briefly look over that before I get on.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So you feel that actually reviewing some of those cues of what not to do benefits you in performing better.
Yes.
That's almost like counterintuitive to some
Really?
degree. At least I would think so. I'd be like, oh gosh. Although sometimes I guess it's similar to a positive cue, like keep your chest up, let's
Yeah.
say, your
hmm
shoulders back. It's I guess it's the same thing as don't slouch or don't round your
Yeah.
shoulders. It's just the
hmm
language of which it's shared.
hmm Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Well, you've made it clear over and over again that you're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who have followed your journey have known this competitive spirit has been in you from a young age as a collegiate athlete, all the way through, of course, your competition journey. But what changed in the last few years, if anything, to light you up to be the most winning IFBB professional athlete of all time, and eventually even refer to yourself as a tardigrade after your 50th win?
Yeah. Um, I would say it pushed me to like compete more when people started complaining I compete too much.
Yeah,
Honestly,
seriously.
if I'm honest, that's what got me going. Because I before that I was competing pretty much just I don't want to say just as much as a regular Olympia athlete, but it would be like maybe like 4 times a year. It would be my typical. And then I started getting the complaints, and I was like, well, I guess I guess we got to do something about this, huh? So yeah, I'm the type that like you tell me, hey, if I'm sure in my like belief, like I know I'm right about something, I'm not backing down. I'm going to do it more. So I
Hmm.
would say that has changed. That changed it and my whole like perspective of it too. Meaning, I was never like ever looking for like I guess adoration or anything like that necessarily, but it this year or not this year but when this happened the year that it happened that's I started letting that go and just being like I really am doing this for me. A lot of people don't agree with it or they don't like that I'm doing it, but I got to listen to what I believe in and what I know is right. So that's kind of, yeah. So I started listening to me and not caring about anything else. Like, you know what I mean? As long as I know I'm right, I'll keep going with it. Yeah.
100%. And plus, when you do something, by the way, this shouldn't have even been controversial in the first place. But
Hmm.
when you do something that somewhat is controversial, what generally happens is you get a lot more love. It's almost like you pick a side and more people respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. And I'm glad that I did because it's like I can see who resonates with me, because a
Yeah.
lot of people will resonate with me. A few people don't. I think more people
Exactly.
resonate than they don't. But yeah.
Well, that's exactly right. And I remember that was a time where I felt like I really understood you more as an athlete, as a
Mhm.
competitor, because when you made it very clear why you did that and where you stood on that, it was like a higher investment from a lot of people in your journey. I think that's where people got really this thrill of following you go and compete and compete and compete. But one of our listeners submitted a question that I thought was really, really great.
Mhm.
And I'll kind of preface it with obviously, when you're the most winning, it also means you're going to have a lot of eyes on you. Some are going to look with admiration, some
Mhm.
with judgment and criticism. So she asked, how have you navigated the industry or people in the industry who you know or compete against or who are around, but sometimes have said hurtful things or discredited your success and efforts or even pushed back on your journey?
In person, I won't say a thing. I leave it to the stage. And I have just know as I walk off the stage, I have a little smirk like, yeah, still, I bet you still don't like it, huh?
Yeah,
Still don't like it, compete a lot? Okay, okay. That's my attitude about it.
good for you.
If anything, it's just like I'm focusing on me. I don't want to give anybody the attention they don't deserve. But at the same time, it is nice to be, like, okay, I'm doing something right over here. Okay.
Mhm. That's right. And you know who you are. Like, this goes back to your point about doing it for you. You know who you are, and the people who love and respect and appreciate you know who you are. You don't have to prove yourself.
Hmm.
So there is an element of this where because you don't have to prove yourself, we know you're doing it for you. But also there is this drive, or maybe it seems anyways, like you were on this crusade to make an impact where you showed like, I love this sport. I want to keep competing in this sport, irregardless of the outcome. And when you go back and you look at all of your wins, you would have to say, okay, to win 50 times means you have to compete 50 times. Most people don't even get the opportunity to say that they competed once. Do you know how many shows total you've done?
That's a great question. And I wish I knew the answer to it, but I don't. I really don't. I
I
only
went on NBC News. I was like, I don't even know if I can do this math.
no, yeah, because like if you look on NBC News, it's not even going to be accurate because a lot of the shows aren't even uploaded on there, especially in the beginning. Like in 2013, 14, a lot of those shows you'll never see it. Like I went to Russia, I went to Finland, I went to India, all previously, but because it was like so early in the days, it just was never like uploaded as a show. So it's hard to get accurate information there. I'm not sure how many shows I've done. That is a great question. I wish I knew. And then I don't even know as an amateur how many like I want. How many do we count those? I don't know.
Yeah, we
But
want your
yeah.
record. It's just amazing though, because you continued to grow and improve over the years, which notably to me and many others has been so impressive. You've spent time applying the judges' feedback, meeting the standard for bikini. But given you've been doing this since 2011,
Mhm.
I would love to know what your favorite era or maybe year of bikini bodybuilding has been.
Hmm. I'll say 2020. That
Interesting.
because it was more challenging.
Uh-huh.
It was unique. Now, it's one of those things, it's like it sucked, but it was like a good suck because it kind of made you realize how good you got it. So
Mm.
in 2020, it was tough because we're all shut down and you really had to make a really good effort to get in a good workout. It's not the same. So I'm not sure how you handled it, but for me, I remember being like on a mission with some resistance bands and
Yes.
just trying to see, what is possible. So
100%.
it was a nice little challenge, 2020, and it's good to know that we can make things work.
Oh
We don't
yeah.
have to be in the gym every day. We can make things work. So yeah, I would say that. And I think everyone came together at that time and just everyone was, you know, it just seemed everyone was more, I guess, hopeful and yeah. So that was my favorite era, I guess. But gosh, this era is kind of cool too. I gotta say, what defines an era? Like, is
Of
it every
bodybuilding,
5
yeah.
years, 10 years,
I don't know.
2
Let me look
years?
that up.
Because
What actually is an era? What defines an era?
it's only going since 2011, so it's not been that long yet. We'll see. There's got to be a few years in there.
It says that it's considered to be a point of time from which succeeding years are numbered. So a fixed point in time from which a series of years is reckoned. I guess the series of Ashley competing, that's the era we're referring to in your era of bodybuilding.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, well, going back to 2020, I remember stepping on stage at the Pacific USA's and seeing you and Adam in the crowd, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's only two people in the crowd, and it's Ashley and Adam. And like, I think like Kim Odo was there, and obviously the judges. And I was like, this is such a weird experience, but a very cool, awesome one. And I thought 2020 was an incredible time for the competition world to see that the stage will always be there.
Yeah.
And show our resilience too. But you have obviously been in this for a long time. And to be at the top for so long requires some level of understanding of yourself, obviously,
Hmm.
and the sport. But what do you personally think has contributed most to your longevity in this demanding sport?
Stubborn mindset, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, I I'm very much the mindset of like you keep going till the wheels fall off. You don't keep going till it's easy. Nah, that's when it starts to get easy, you go harder. I think a lot of people will think of it as like a period of time in their life, but I like to think of it like throughout my life. I've done this for when you think about it, over 1/3 of my life. So it is a big part of my life. And I love what I do. But I would say a technique that I've tried that seems to be working for me is
Mhm.
just not to go into shows with expectations, especially with placing. because I don't ever want to get used to the feeling of winning. I don't want to get used to it because it is an amazing feeling and I'm sure it can get boring. So every win is a new feeling to me. I like to re-experience that, whether it be at the Olympia or it be at a local show, in Nevada here. I don't like to fall into the get comfortable with winning thing. I like it to be an event, a surprise. So I really have to be aware of how my mindset is going into the shows and just be careful of how I think and reflect afterwards too. Just being aware of it.
I could see that because after a show, you may not have gone in with the expectation of winning, but after the show, you can look back and go, where was I? Where did I miss the mark? Or why not? Because you are competitive.
Hmm.
And it's interesting hearing you say also that you don't want to get used to winning. You want it to be a surprise every time. And that was one of the focuses I had written down for us to talk about because when you say you don't go in expecting to win a show, but you are always so grateful no matter what the outcome is, it
Hmm.
does make me, and I'm sure many others, wonder how do you actually maintain that level of gratitude and detachment from the outcome while also having that competitive drive to earn more wins?
Hmm. So, you hear it all the time. It's a subjective sport, but on top of that, this sport, you can't control anything except for yourself. You cannot control who shows up, how they show up, how it's judged. Um, so the only thing you do have control of is yourself. So the only thing you can do is your best. So when I say I don't come in with expectations, I really don't. After, judging, I'll kind of get an idea, or, maybe I'll at that point start to evaluate, like, okay, maybe I have a good shot here. Let's see. But even then, like, even if I'm in the middle the whole time, I never like to think, oh, I'm gonna win this. Because it just, I don't know, it can set yourself up for disappointment. And I think disappointment can really, shorten the longevity. So I like to keep the surprise, and that's what keeps me, I guess, enthusiastic about the sport. And yeah, so
Hmm. Is it similar to how you felt when you were doing track and field?
yeah, yeah. I used to always look forward to it, and looking forward to the weekend track meets, just like look forward to the weekend competitions. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think like in track though, it's a little more of like the adrenaline, like your heart's beating so fast right before you race. Whereas I think that nervous feeling is spread out like more subtly throughout the morning. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different experience, but it's relatable. It's
Yeah.
something that you can draw from or you can identify with.
Hmm.
So when you talk about winning, you've won so many times, it's almost like how has it not lost some of its impact, but you've made it clear it's about gratitude, not expecting things. What does winning actually mean to you now, and maybe in comparison to when you first started?
That's a good question too. Gosh, you and your viewers had some really good ones for me. So I would say winning means like I put in my best. No stone was left unturned. My performance was good. I don't have any regrets. I didn't make any stupid mistakes. That can be a form of winning, but of course, I can still technically win even if I don't do those. But sometimes I will win a show, but be slightly disappointed with myself because I could have done something a little bit better. And then sometimes I won't win, but I know I'm like in the deepest heart of hearts that I gave it everything I had, and I was, left no stone unturned. So it depends on like the scenario, but I don't think it's good to always like focus on the number placing. Um, where that's a hard thing to say because everyone wants to win and we should all train like we're going to win. It's one thing to train like you're going to win and want to win, and then there's another to expect.
Mhm.
So.
Hmm. Well, you've made some good points. There's some things that I want to go back to from that. You specifically said winning to you can actually not actually be the title. It could be the effort that went into the show and looking back and feeling that pride. So there's been times then where you've won and maybe not been as happy with
Hmm.
yourself. Was that based on how you performed that day, or was there ever times where it was based on how your prep went or how you executed on things in the gym?
Both, I think. I, I hate making stupid mistakes. They happen sometimes though. And I don't want to be so, I got to catch myself because I don't want to be too hard on myself by like being so harsh when I make a dumb mistake, like a stupid mistake, meaning like, why did I step to the left when I was supposed to step to the right in my transition? Or why did I keep my hair on my shoulder in the back pose or something? A dumb mistake, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
something small, and something that you create on that day. Yeah, it's so hard. You want to beat yourself up, but we all make dumb mistakes, stupid mistakes. I try not to like let that dictate if I win or not. But if I'm aware that I didn't try as hard, eh, it's hard for me to, I don't know. I have regrets after, I have regrets after. Like, man, if I would have just committed a little harder or started prep a little sooner, could have had a better result or something like that.
I think there's going to be people surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah.
But I think also it speaks to when I've always said that a champion has a bigger target on their back.
Hmm.
And I think you represent this well along with other top competitors. But when judges see you over and over and over again, there's an expectation that they have of what you're going to bring,
Hmm.
right? So they know if you're on, they know if you're off. Has that ever been a challenge for you where a judge has just said, "Well, you were off today, but maybe you just look different or you were trying to bring something different?"
Oh yeah, definitely. That's happened. Like, so I'm coming in fuller this year, and that was because I was told to. So I've been coming in fuller consistently, and the whole year the judges are saying, "Good, we love the full looks, keep bringing the full looks." But then one judge said that I looked a little bit different because he hasn't judged me in a whole year, maybe. Um, but I was fuller like I have been all year, and he didn't. I guess was he might have been confused by that because he thought that I was off, but I was just I guess looking differently, but still the same in comparison to what I've been doing all year, the same physique. So yeah, it does happen. It does happen sometimes. Hmm.
And that can only happen to someone who's been seen a lot. That
Yeah,
can't happen to a rookie.
perhaps. Yeah. So it's not a lot of people think it's an advantage to compete a lot. Sometimes not. Sometimes just like you suggested, that can happen, or maybe at some point getting a little bored, but it yeah, it's not all advantages. It really isn't.
Hmm. Yeah. So, out of all of your wins, is there one that stands out as your most meaningful?
Yes, my first Olympia win. Because I was such an underdog and I was so unexpected. And I was just happy to be there. I was literally just happy to be at the Olympia. Oh my God, I made it to Olympia. Holy crap, I'm standing next to some like high highly successful girls, and I'm lucky enough to be on that same stage. So that was crazy. That was my mindset going in. So imagine me like wanting to just be there, like happy to just be there and winning it. Ooh, that was like, what is this real life? It's like, so that had to have been my favorite win. Hmm.
That's so awesome. I wonder too if that partially contributes to your mindset of not having expectations.
Yes, it does. I'm sure it does. And also, I guess I am protecting my feelings a little bit too when I'm, about the expectations, but I don't think it's a bad thing to do that. I don't, because I'll be honest, it can tear people up, and I see it happen, when people get discouraged or disappointed because they thought they were going to do one way and they didn't end up doing as good. So I see it happen. I don't want that to happen to me. So I keep it, you know, no expectations. and keep everything realistic.
Yeah. Well, if you could go back in time to the Ashley that just like was happy to be there on stage at the Olympia, the most meaningful win to you thus far in your
Mhm.
first Olympia, like your hope when you went pro was that you would just win a pro show. Well, then you ended up going to the Olympia and you ended up winning the Olympia. Were there other goals or things going on in your life that you were working towards or like had thought in your mind, well, that's more attainable? Like, were you minimizing your potential in the sport and that was why you thought, oh, maybe just one? Or was it more like, I don't know how I'm asking, if I'm asking this clearly,
Mhm.
but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like where did that like the thought process come from or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any big goals I was working forward to or working towards, which
Uh-huh.
is kind of how I found the sport because I felt kind of lost. But I've always been working towards something, so I felt like I was almost just being lazy because I've always been an athlete. So that's how I discovered the sport. And then the second half to the question was the mindset, right? It was
Mhm.
about, do I think that my current mindset is because of, what did you ask again?
That experience basically and that attainability like we're at the time maybe you didn't think it was attainable to win more than one.
Uh, yeah. Well, I think I'm just, I was blown away by how far I've already gotten. I know that sounds crazy, but I felt like Cinderella. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I never expected to ever leave this state. And now I'm like a bikini pro. And I've won, I think at that point I've won like two shows or whatever before Olympia or two or three. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like I'm a bikini pro. That's insane. How did I thought that even being a bikini pro, I already was like, what's it called? I was imposter syndrome kind of. Like I was already pushing it. I was like, I don't know how I'm a bikini pro right now. I don't know how I got to this level, but I'm happy with it. So, hey, if I just win one pro show, that's my goal. I'm good. Um, so I guess, yeah, that's, I guess I was surprised that I was even in that position to begin with. So I thought that even asking for more in my mind is like greedy. Like, how, Ashley, you're a bikini pro. Geez, like you've exceeded your expectations and everyone else's. Now you're asking for more. Geez, the heck. So I don't know. That's just kind of how my mind works. Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm in the field right now. I don't really get this deep into the field.
I know. I'm seeing that.
I love it. I love it.
It's so amazing. And hearing you talk this way, I'm like, we live in a time currently where everybody wants the pro title
Mhm.
and then once they get it, they want the Olympia. There isn't, at least it doesn't seem like there's as much of the I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be a pro. You see that when people qualify for the Olympia and you see that sometimes in a pro debut, but it sounds like you were really just like I'm an IFBB pro. This
Like,
is
how did this
crazy.
happen?
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck? Yes, exactly. I was very, how did I get here kind of thing. So,
Yeah, and now look at where you are.
I know, crazy, crazy, so crazy.
Do you find it hard to let people see your struggles or feelings if you have them?
A little more on the like, he's what I call it stoic, a little more on the stoic side. I'm not super like emotional. I think in comparison to other people though, to be honest, like I don't cry very often. I always joke with Coach Adam, like I get two cries per year. I've used up my cries for the year. So I am, yeah, I'll cry just a few times a year. That's it. And but the being emotional doesn't mean just being sad or happy. There's other emotions in there too, like frustration and things like that. So I guess, I think I get frustrated just like everyone else. And I don't mind sharing people that when I'm frustrated or happy, but I don't like to show my sadness too much, I guess, because it's like, I don't know. well, first, I'm not sad often, but also like I don't want people to be sad with me. I want people to be happy, you know? Mm, but yeah, being like vulnerable and stuff is something I could be better at, to be honest. I could be better at being like vulnerable and open and stuff. So,
Really?
yeah.
What's something you see as like you think you could be better at about it? Do you
Mhm.
think it's important?
I think it is. I mean, I want to motivate people. I really do. And I think it's such a cool feeling to have somebody that says, like, you inspire me, things like that. I'm very unrelatable. I'm very unrelatable because I am the way I am. I'm like, don't show emotions too much, I guess. And also, I think sometimes my lifestyle in general makes me a little unrelatable. But I do think that by being little more vulnerable, I think I could probably connect with people more, probably.
Mm. It sounds like you've been told this before that you're unrelatable.
Oh no, I mean, I know I'm unrelatable, but I will hear it sometimes like I'm unrelatable or out of touch to things like
Huh.
that. It's like, I don't want to be relatable to you. You're average. I don't care.
Yeah.
um, but no, I really want to be relatable to people that are like-minded like myself. So that would be nice, sometimes to be able to connect a little better with people. But I mean, don't get it twisted though. I'm not like sad or anything about it. I'm perfectly happy in my own little
Oh
kind of
yeah.
bubble. But you know what I'm talking about. You're in the industry. It does feel good to be able to help. And we all want to, that's the goal at the end of the day is to be able to help and inspire the people. So,
Yeah, and we have different ways of doing that. Like I think not like everybody's called to do that in a different way, I think, and it's about being yourself and exemplifying that. And I've actually wondered if you ever feel like being who you are and from a title and numbers standpoint in general, right? Let's set aside, there's obviously an Ashley outside of this, but this is the
mhm.
majority of, as you've said, this has been a big part of your life. Do you ever think that people feel intimidated by you or even like your status has made them feel that they're not worthy of maybe seeking your support or your guidance? Like, oh, it's Ashley. Like I can't, Ashley's got it all figured out, so I can't like, have you ever experienced that?
I think sometimes people think I'm way more hardcore than I am, especially with like clients and stuff like that. Because I live the life and I've been doing it a long time and I'm fully immersed in the industry. But like I'm really, if you saw me prep and eat on my day to day, I'm a lot less hardcore than you think I am, and I'm a lot more boring than you think I am. I'm I'm not like suffering every day like with like people probably picturing you just like pushing sleds all day, like
Yeah.
eating and weighing everything out to the T. And it's like, I don't even weigh my food. I have not weighed my food since my battery broke in my scale in 2018. That's the last time I weighed my food. But like, yeah, so I think that people get that impression that, oh, since I've found success, then I must be super hardcore and so extremely robotic. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't let loose or anything like that.
That's a common misconception, and I don't blame people for thinking that way because, like, our industry really has promoted this idea that unless everything is perfect and perfectly measured and tracked and accounted for, you will not be successful. And it's gotten to a point where we like nitpick every detail. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that throws people, they won't take the next best step because they're thinking 20 steps ahead.
Yes,
But you've simplified your process. You're at a place where you're like, I just live it, do it, know what works for me, and I don't have to obsess over it.
that exactly. So much so that I think that's one of the reasons why I can keep going as long as I do because I don't obsess over it. And I think it's such the opposite because people have this idea that, oh, she's won so much, she must, oh, what a crappy way to live. She's like weighing out every little lettuce leaf and waking up at this time precisely every day and then just like tracking every step and like I'm like, no, I'm probably it's funny because I'm like the opposite of what people would think though, because I'm like, what did I how many oh wait, what's in that? I'm like, I didn't weigh that. Like, so I don't weigh food. not that I'm bragging about it, only to say that like I don't overly obsess. And I've found success founding my own little route, and I'm not like overly obsessing over anything. So if I can find my own little way to do things, a lot of people can do it too. And I think a lot of people overthink, just like you said, they're overthinking everything. It's not that serious. It's bikini, especially if it's bikini. Like it's not that serious. Like we don't need to like if you're 8 months out, like and you're stressed out about you went over on your lettuce consumption for the day, like chill. Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's such a great point too, because I think people are afraid to confess that to a coach or an athlete because they're like, well, I should be doing better. And I think that's a common misconception people have about you, even about Adam, and the work that's been done together because you guys are both very focused and competitive
Mhm.
and you care and you want what's best for the athletes, but also you've established like what works best for you. Given that you have found your way, if you go back to 2018, the last time you weighed food, for example, like how did you learn, or what would you tell somebody else like that was part of that process to learn what your body needed and how you function best so you could let go of some of the obsession?
Right. Yeah. So definitely if you're new to this, don't do what I'm doing because if you don't know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like, it you got to turn your eyes. But I would say if a good way to kind of not overly obsess everything is like protein and vegetables. Like, do we really need to weigh those things? Like, unless we're like maybe 2 weeks out from a show, I'm not worried about how much the broccoli weighs. Like, if you're over by one floret and that's the reason why you weren't ready for your show, I think you have bigger problems. Like, we don't need to weigh the broccoli. I mean, if you're really 2 weeks out or something, maybe I don't, but whatever. Um, I think protein veg, you can, for the most part, look at it if you're experienced enough and have done it enough and kind of estimate a good way to just, you know, weigh with your eyes, basically. So that
Mhm.
way, obsessing over every little number and gram. I would say like things like carbohydrates and fats obviously are going to be more tricky if you don't weigh them. So if you're not experienced enough, I guess a good foot in the door would just be omit weighing your veg and protein.
Yeah, I love that advice. That's a good place
Mhm.
to start for someone
Yeah.
who's looking to do that. I think too, like, you have to be comfortable enough as an athlete and trust yourself enough. Like, really, you have to say to yourself, okay, if anyone's prepared to eat intuitively or be intelligently, might be a better word for that, it would be an athlete who's been doing this for a long time, weighing every morsel of food. Like, sometimes I would test myself. Like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna cover the scale and I'm gonna put the amount that I think this is. And okay, so I have to do 100 grams of chicken, let's say. Let me just put that on. And then I'd move my hand and it would be 100 grams of chicken or like
Mhm.
10 grams of peanut butter. And I'm like, you have to kind of build that trust in yourself too as an athlete. And it sounds like, yeah, don't recommend this to someone who's never even weighed their food before. But if you're comfortable, you got to trust your abilities
Yeah.
too.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a time saver and a stress saver too. I used to be obsessed over food. I used to be that way back in the day. Like 2015 and beyond or and before that, I was really food obsessed. And doing it this way, I just let go of all those obsessions from me. And I'm just like, I don't even think about it. Like, and I
Mhm.
also think I've determined like I'm able to differentiate craving hunger really quickly too, which helps my case.
Yeah. Is that because you're less fixated on getting the right amount, or and therefore you're not thinking about food as much, or is it something else?
Yeah, so that probably has something to do with it, but just having the knowledge and experience to stop myself before and indulge and be like, wait a minute, hold on. This is not, this isn't hunger. This is a craving. Hold on, hold on. That makes a difference. That pause, like, wait a minute, hold on. This is not hunger. This is a craving. Things like that. It seems so silly and so minute and minuscule, but it makes a lot of difference whenever you're in that scenario because we're all in that scenario.
For sure. Yeah. The pausing is I think the most important thing somebody can do before eating anything.
Mhm.
And just to backtrack slightly to the comparison to what you do and what others do, and we're talking about something you've been able to master. What would you want the people who compare themselves to you to really know or consider?
So I guess, is it comparing my life to me or physique to me?
Life and lifestyle, like how you approach things, the life you're living, your success.
Sure. So it's a lot of work and so much sacrifice and dedication. I have the lifestyle to do that, meaning I don't have like kids running around. I have two cats now, but my boyfriend takes care of them when I'm gone. But I don't have like a company that I'm owning. Like I don't have my life is set up for this, so I have to set a lot aside. There's a lot I can't do, but at the same time, it's so worth it. Yeah, I cannot go on the weekends for beer and pizza and stay out till 2 a.m. Darn it, I'm missing out. But I can go to Japan. I can go to Kazakhstan and compete. Like, what a cool thing. Like, to be able to go and compete in all these places that most people only dream of being able to go to. So, you can keep the pizza, I'll take the travel.
No,
So,
that's
that's
right.
something I would like for them to know. But also, I'm really not as hardcore as people think. I'm really not. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I think the most hardcore thing about me is I just keep doing it. I keep going. That's, I compete, I just keep going. I compete some more. I think that's what makes me hardcore, but the actual route to get there, not so much.
And it seems, see, I think you're being very honest about the fact that like other people will have different circumstances that they might be in that don't allow them to potentially pursue it at the level you are. And you use the word sacrifice, which that word is always so interesting to me because when you share it, it doesn't sound like a sacrifice to you because it's your choice. You love this lifestyle. You prefer it over pizza and beer. You're not really sacrificing much of anything. But have there been things, personal sacrifices you have made or you can think of that you're like, to reach this level of success, I did actually have to set some of this aside.
Oh yeah. Like relationships sometimes that will take a toll and it is what it is. But it happens. Not being able to see my family. Well, I can see my family, but just traveling so much. I haven't seen them as much as I should have. But I'm going to see them next week, so I'm making up for it.
Yay.
But things like that, things that events I won't get to go to just here and there, like because if it's out late or if it conflicts with my competitions or anything like that, but I will say for me personally, the sacrifices were so worth it. And I don't even think twice about it. It's like a given. It's like a duh. I'm gonna choose competing over that. So especially this year, I really, really made it a point to tell my sponsors, to tell everyone, competing will take priority. I cannot commit to anything until like I know that I'm in a good spot with my competition, meaning there's no potential shows I would do that would conflict with your seminar or this or this. So I would say that is something as well. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, someone had asked me to ask you like why you haven't pursued like starting your own business or brand of clothing, for example. And it sounds like it's because it would require a lot more of you than you want to take on because you love competing.
Yes. So exactly that. Competitions will take priority. I do that's not even on my radar right now. And I know it should be like starting a business or whatnot. But right now I just wanted to compete this whole year. I just wanted to compete even previously. And it's something that I'm not going to say never because there's been so many things I said I'll never do that, I'll never go there, and I end up doing it. But I'm not really a business type person. So if I were to have a business, I would probably do like a collaborative business or something like that to where I could help out with it, of course, but not do the dirty work and stuff. But
Mhm.
that's, if that were to happen, that would be in the future. I don't see that happening anytime in the near future, but maybe in the later future.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I think you make a great distinction between like a sacrifice that you made, like, sure, maybe you wanted to go to a concert, let's say, but you also had a competition you're not saying you don't love music. You're just saying you love competing more. And
Yes.
that's important to you. So it doesn't feel like a sacrifice, even though maybe from an outsider's perspective, it might be considered that, but
Hmm.
you just really love it. And now I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit. You had shared some different things on your own podcast, and one of the listener questions that came through was actually regarding hypothyroidism and how you've navigated that.
Hmm. I'm good.
Good.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Okay, well, the other question that came through from a listener was how, this is more so regarding posing. How can you build your confidence on stage? And then to add to that, especially if you have no rhythm.
So building your confidence on stage, especially if you don't have rhythm. So I'd say don't worry about rhythm first. Think about picking just your poses that are the most complimentary for your physique and take your time. I think once you get the confidence, then you can start jazzing it up a bit. Then you can start doing little flares. But I think a lot of times a mistake girls will make is they'll try these flare movements and jazzing it up when their structure of their routine isn't even there yet. Like they're not even hitting their front pose correctly yet. And they're already adding in like hair flips and turns and spins and stuff. So I would say get comfortable first with just the basics. And even just the basics can look confident. You just got to keep it clean and smooth. And yeah, so hopefully that would help.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I'm guilty. I've been guilty of that. And now
Oh.
that I've been just focused on like the poses, I feel more confident too. And I look better. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all that was fluff. Um, so you had posted a side by side recently from 2013 to 2024. It
Yes.
really showed the growth
Uh,
that has happened. I think when we see you posting like every day or show after show, maybe you notice, minute things. And your shoulders look a little fuller here, your glutes look fuller here, your waist looks this, whatever. But when you posted that, it's like, dang, a lot has changed. So what do you attribute the growth to, especially when you have been very diligent in both your improvement seasons and your preps?
yeah. So exactly what you just said. It's crazy because people won't realize that I'm making improvements because I compete so often that you're going to look at this show compared to last. Of course, you're not going to see anything. You might look at last show compared to a few months ago show. Still probably not going to see anything. But if you start to look at years back, you see big differences. So, I think for me, I'm not like a fast grower or anything, but over time, I've just accumulated more muscle and just trying to match what the standards are. So, a lot of people would like to point out that, oh, I would not have won or even qualified for the Olympia when I won. And it's like these days, yeah, I know. I would in 2013, that physique would not even qualify for this year's Olympia. I'm aware, but at the same time, if I looked like I do now in 2013,
Exactly.
they would have said, go to figure, you're way too muscular, way too big for bikini. So I am just kind of keeping with the trends and the standards and just got to do what I got to do. This year I came in fuller because that's what they wanted from me. And that's kind of what's trending is like a fuller, bubblier look. Whereas like in 2000, even 18, 19, it wasn't really like that as much. So, you just got to pay attention and do what you can to keep up.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're trying to keep up with a standard like that, it also creates novelty. You had said there's something exciting to the journey, like going and pushing for that. You
Mhm.
also made reference earlier to doing your best. What does it actually look like to you to do your best in the gym? Because you've made statements before on Bikini and the Brain saying things like, people think they're doing their best,
Yeah.
but they're not. How do you know? How does an athlete determine, yes, I'm really doing my best?
That is a tough one because you can't actually measure it, right? I would say quite simply, if you walk out of the gym feeling like, wow, yeah, it's not much more I could have done. I did exactly what I was supposed to do on this day, this given program for me. I did it exactly what I needed to do. Because a lot of people wouldn't realize that it's more of like a day to day. Every day is a little different. So you can only do the best you can on that specific day, but don't take that day's standards and apply it to next month because you might be in a different situation. You know what I mean? Might be different. So yeah.
Love that. So I'm going to ask you just all the listener questions I've compiled now by
Okay.
category, okay? And we'll just hopefully address everybody's questions. I'm sure I might miss some, so apologies to those who I do or potentially don't get to. So along the lines of your approach and your journey, what is your favorite meal every day?
I love my protein bars. I'm a protein bar connoisseur, and I know it's not technically a meal, but whatever. I love protein bars. So I get a one protein bar a day. I always look forward to it.
What's your go-to right now?
So I always switch it up. It right now I'm doing something called Two Fit Brands. It's a vegan protein bar. I'm not vegan, but the protein bar is delicious.
Yeah.
So that one's my current, but I'll swap them and I'll look on Amazon and see what's new every so often.
Love that. And you answered this one earlier. You don't have a step goal, right?
A step goal? No, I mean when I'm actively cutting, I will try to get 10,000 and I'll wear my watch. But when I'm not wearing my watch, that means I'm not cutting. So I'm just chilling. So I
That's
only
our cue.
monitor when I'm, yeah, cutting.
And then someone else had asked what supplements do you specifically recommend for, especially I'm assuming bikini competitors. This looked to be from a bikini competitor, if I remember correctly.
Creatine's great. It's tried and true. Creatine, even for bikini.
Love that. And how does your approach now compare and contrast to your approach over the years? You answered that a little bit. Maybe you could share more of your like thought process around how you thought you had to approach it versus now.
Nowadays, I feel much more like I got to go for it. Just go for it. Like I try to shut off the hesitation and go for it. Doesn't always work sometimes. That's what I attempt to do. I just, I try to approach things like I'm a little more fearless these days and just be like, oh, just go for it. Less think, more do.
Yeah, I love that. Now, do you remember your road to pro? And if you do remember that, what was notably hard about it that you would want amateur competitors to be aware of?
I was obsessed with food. Definitely that the diet was tough for me back in the day. I used to obsess over it so much that I would wait for the Sunday papers to come and uh, the grocery advertisements, and I'd circle what was on sale because I also love sales. So I would
No, you
say the diet was so hard to get used to. I finally mastered it though, um, but it takes time. So I would say diet's gonna be tough at first, but give your taste buds a chance because they might retrain themselves like
sounds
mine
like
did.
that happened. Another person asked if there's anything you wish you could go back and tell yourself before your very first show.
Oh, I would say you got a long road ahead.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, if you knew then what you know now, gosh.
Yeah, yeah. I still don't believe it. That even like in 2018 when I came back because I took a year off, I thought like, oh, I'll do like 1 or 2 more years. Nope. Way
Not
more than
stop
that.
since.
Way more.
So another listener, now this is more so pertaining to your career. She asked, how do you balance your personal life with your career? You answered some of that with family and
Mhm.
sponsorships, but is there anything else more specific to your daily schedule?
So luckily I have friends and family that understand and they get it. Unfortunately, not all of them did. And, you kind of have to talk to some people and hopefully they come around to it. But yeah, I mean, all I can say is I'm very lucky in that aspect. I've got really good support. And I know not everyone does, and that's unfortunate, but do the best you can to help educate.
Absolutely. Now, another question regarding your career. What will you do if and or when you retire?
Oh, I'm not retiring.
Yeah.
There's
You're like,
gonna be,
that word's not part of my vocabulary.
I know what that is. You're gonna have to tell me what that is. No, I mean honestly, I'm not exactly sure. So the thing about me is I don't like to look too far in the distance because I'm having so much fun now.
Oh.
And it's like I don't want to ruin the now worrying about the future. But what I can tell you is I'll be okay. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
That's for sure. Now,
I won't be out of a job or anything. So
yeah.
don't you worry.
Good. What is your most favorite thing about competing?
The memories,
Aw.
getting to travel, yeah. Everything in between, you know. But the stage, yeah. And but also to add on to that, I like to dress up and just be a pretty fit princess for a day.
I
So,
love
like
that.
the adult version of dress up, right? You get to put on
Yeah,
like a sparkly bikini and makeup and hair, and it's just fun.
exactly. Now this was a question from me. So,
Mhm.
who has had the biggest impact on your journey, and how do you show gratitude to them?
Oh, probably Adam. You know, I wouldn't be here without him. So, to show gratitude, gosh, that's a good question. Hopefully, I do enough. Well, I'm his friend, so we kind of like, we
Yeah.
help each other out all the time. So that's kind of blurs the lines with helping out with gratitude. But no, he's been good to me and he's a good coach. So thank you,
Hmm.
Coach Adam.
That's awesome. So, I have some random questions. I just thought would be
Okay.
fun. In another universe, who would Ashley K be?
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. That's a good question. Like maybe housewife in some ritzy neighborhood. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Something on Hallmark or something. I don't know.
I love that. Tis the season.
I don't know.
What's something about you that your fans might not know but would be surprised to learn?
Um, they probably already know this. I don't eat any seafood. Nothing. Nothing under the sea. Won't touch it. Won't smell it. That's gross. Ew. I'm very picky eater. Maybe that helps with my diet, but I don't. I just like chicken. I don't like turkey. Steak's okay. That's like the only meats I'll have. Even egg whites, they have to be flavored like most like I don't like savory egg whites. Ew. I'm very picky. Very picky.
I'm the same way. I'm like, if it can breathe underwater,
Oh
no.
my God. I've never found someone that didn't like any seafood. I knew people that were allergic to it, but that was
Yeah.
their choice.
Oh, I can't stand it. So if we opened your current playlist, what's the most surprising song we'd find?
Oh, I was like listening to one song to make a video before, and I just never deleted the song. But it's like, wow, you can really dance. It's like in a German accent. I'm
Yes,
oh, I made Adam's video with that, and I just never deleted that song. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Never deleted that
Wow, you
song.
can
So,
really dance.
ah, that's it. Yep, that's it.
That's awesome. Okay, so just to kind of round out this episode, I have some lasting legacy questions. So, first of all, what are some of the things you're focusing on doing or maybe bringing to the industry coming up that we should look out for?
I'm going to do a lot of seminars in 2025. I am not doing the Arnold, so you heard it here first. Well, maybe the list is out, so maybe you didn't hear it first, but I'm not doing the Arnold because I'm doing so many seminars. So I'll be I'll be making my way around. So hopefully coming to a seminar to you towards you, right? Is that what they say?
Yeah,
Near you.
near you.
Coming to a seminar near you. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you'll be at the women's workshop, so
Yes, yes. That
that's
will
your
be the first one.
first
Oh, that's
one.
the second one I'm doing this year.
Second.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, I guess now I'm kind of curious. Was it a difficult decision to choose seminars over the Arnold?
Yeah, but it wasn't just the seminars. Let me be clear. Not just the seminars, but also, last year I didn't do or this year, sorry, it's still technically 2024. I didn't do the Arnold this year because of my eye surgery. And initially I was so bummed and disappointed. But the way the season it set up my season, it made more sense to because most shows take place in the summertime. So it's
Hmm.
like the Arnold, unfortunately, is like the little outlier. It's like, oh, here's this one show, and then you got to wait like a few more months till everything else starts to pick up too. So I think for me, I'm just going to start my season in the summer, but also I've competed all year. So I guess this is my little mini break, and then
Yeah.
we're starting strong in the summer.
Awesome. Cool. And obviously, since you're going to be doing so many seminars and you'll be all over the place, people can look out for that on your page, which we'll share your information here soon. But I
Absolutely.
want to end on this note, which is what do you hope your legacy in the bodybuilding world will be?
Hmm. I just somebody that was super resilient, never gave up. She did it all. All the crazy things is one of my quotes. Do all the crazy things, just go for it.
Awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing. So, before we close out, though, is there anything you wanted to leave listeners with or make sure we covered?
Just I don't know, thank you for all the support this year. I feel like I don't know, I've been so busy competing that I felt like and maybe it's my imagination. I felt like I could have been better at like communicating with people because I've just been competing. So like haven't been good about social media stuff, but thanks for all the messages and all the support. I appreciate it all.
Aw, that's so awesome of you. I know that everybody listening has been a huge fan, and so it probably means a lot that they're hearing you say that, and you're going to reach them through this for sure and touch their hearts with your gratitude. It doesn't go unnoticed how grateful you are as a person and as an athlete. So, how can people continue to connect with you, follow you, and see what you're up to and where you're going this upcoming year?
Instagram, Ashley K Fit. I would say YouTube, but I have not uploaded on there for a while. I've been lazy. So one of my goals next year is to be better about that.
That'll be awesome, especially with all the seminars you're doing. Like, that'll
Oh,
be
God.
great.
Yep.
Well, good. We'll put that in the show notes, you guys. That's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening right away, it's at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, scroll down to the category section, which is alphabetized. Not only will you find how to connect with us, but you're also going to see a full summary of the episode, a bulleted list of the topics we covered, and episode timestamps so you can share your favorite parts or re-listen. And of course, it means so much to the show, to the athletes when you do share. So post on your story. Let us know that you listened or let your teammates know that they should check this out too. Make sure you check out Bikini in the Brain. If you want to hear more of Ashley's voice, I would be shocked if you haven't already heard that podcast and you listen to mine. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And Ashley, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Of course, it was my pleasure. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world where you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.